Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, a park icon gets an update, a rare character encounter lands at the Pixar Place Hotel. We talk about Earth Day at the resort.
The 70th guided tour details are released and booking is open. A new checkout option for Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. We finish our conversation with Michael and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Buenos dias, señorita. My siestas are getting shorter and shorter. Oh, look at all the people listening. Welcome to DL Weekly's Enchanted Podcast. Hey, Tag and Teresa, mi amigos. Pay attention, it's showtime.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of April 30th, 2025. I'm Tag Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show. This week, we would like to give a special shout out to Vanessa S., Ashley C., Claire G., and Aaron S. for your continued support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only Discord chat, and a bunch of other fun perks, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
Now, let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
An iconic part of Disneyland history and Disney in general will be getting refurbished soon. Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room closed this week to perform routine maintenance on the lighting, sound, and the show. The mighty tree of Tangaroa will be recreated from a high-resolution digital scan. The current Tangaroa is no longer able to be repaired, having been there since the attraction opening in 1963. The attraction should open later this summer.
That piece of all of this was what was wild to me. We have noticed the struggles that Tangaroa, the mighty tree, has been having the past few visits, but I didn't realize that it was struggling for so long because they were trying to figure out if they'd be able to fix it or not. Turns out they're not able to. But then also, if I'm reading this correctly from the Laughing Place article, this is the original.
So it sounds like.
That's wild. I mean, obviously there's been maintenance and upkeep and everything, but as you listeners know that have been with us for quite a while, our little, hearts burst, minds exploded when we came to the sad realization that it's a theme park and pieces of that theme park were showing up in auction as Jose or the Haunted Mansion stretching portraits and all this stuff. Because, right, you're so engulfed in the story of it that I just, it didn't even occur to me that these things, wear out and need to be replaced. And sometimes that means, total replacement. But that makes total sense when you take a step back out of being in the world of fantasy and think about it. So, you and I both, this was a long time ago. We first reported on an auction and we were just I fully just had this happy little thing thinking that's Jose's just been sitting there since the beginning. And that's, of course, those are the same portraits in the stretching room and da-da-da-da. So anyways, that's, now I have the opposite. I'm shocked that this is the original.
Yeah, we've gone back to our original thought that it's not a problem, and yet here we go. I mean, but this is an iconic thing, right?
Yeah.
And I've been really sad that this hasn't worked because it is kind of that cool showpiece. For those of you who maybe don't know what we're talking about, while you're waiting for the Enchanted Tiki Room, there's a bunch of tikis that come alive, and they all represent different gods and stuff. But the Tangaroa tree is the big one that's kind of right up against the building. And what he used to say is he would be let new life fall. And then all these little plants would descend from his branches. But it doesn't do that anymore. And it hasn't done that for quite a while. And so the fact that they're going to redo this and make it work, I think is a great thing because I feel like a lot of people miss the pre-show at the Tiki Room. I highly recommend if you haven't seen it before, go see it. Just hang out in that space, and it doesn't really matter where you are because all the Tiki gods come alive around the entire perimeter for the most part. And it adds something kind of cool. It tells you a lot about the different gods and stuff like that. So, yeah.
The other thing that's fun to mention is all of the Tiki gods and goddesses were sculpted by Rolly Crump.
Oh, yeah.
Which he was not a sculptor. There's a fun story about that. He kind of just was told to do it, and that was not his thing. That was not his specialty, but he did it. And I think there's even funny stories about how he used very not traditional methods to do the sculpting, but they turned out great.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the other fun thing, too. Look, right here, I'm reading this old Mice Chat article. Maui is the very first sculpture of any kind that Rolly ever did.
That's awesome. What a way to be the first thing you've ever done, and then it's this.
Yeah. Tour dates are now open for the guided tour coming to Disneyland for the 70th anniversary. A Story of Celebration 70th Anniversary Guided Tour is a 2-hour guided walking tour, which includes a ride aboard the Mark Twain, Disneyland Railroad, a lightning lane for a select attraction, it does not say which, reserved viewing for Paint the Night, which includes popcorn, and a tour keepsake. The price is $120 per guest. Reservations can be made up to 60 days in advance and are highly, highly recommended. Check out the link in the show notes to reserve your tour.
This tour sounds cool. And actually, I was going to ask you about, should we do this tour? Because it seems like a good value at $120. You get free popcorn, you get a nice seating location, and you get to do all this other cool stuff.
Honestly, I think what may have sold it for me was the fact that it includes reserve viewing for Paint the Night. So since we've got a little time before we're going to be in the parks, well, just over a month, there's going to be, this tour is going to happen prior to us being there. So part of me is like, do we book it now or do we wait and see people's reviews of it? Because that's kind of the difficult thing about being a big hardcore Disney and Disneyland fan and history fan, is sometimes these tours they're not geared towards the super fans that know all sorts of awesome, amazing details. They're more geared, I'd say, towards the average guest that don't know all of the cool things that make Disneyland amazing and all the history. So I'm just a little nervous about that, because it could be amazing, or it could just be we know that story and we've heard that story, so I've got mixed feelings on it.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, I did years ago now, it's not the same tour, but back in the day when the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour came out, and again, years ago, this was early 2000s, I learned a ton of stuff about the resort from that and just some stories and stuff. So I feel like Disney does a pretty good job with their tours of kind of making them for all the different levels of fans.
Sure.
So I think that, yes, of course, we're going to hear stuff that we've heard before, but I feel like there's also going to be some nuggets of things that we'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm on their website right now, and what's interesting is it says that it'll be available to book starting April 24th. Well, we were recording this on April 29th, and there's no link.
Something happened, because I was looking ahead at dates and was seeing that there was some stuff already booked out and booked up.
So maybe everything's booked up?
No.
But I mean, more will come up tomorrow or something.
Maybe. Well, just keep checking. Keep checking.
I'll put the link in the show notes directly to it, because it was kind of hard to find in general. But yeah, it's a cool tour. I think I'm intrigued by it for sure. We haven't really been on the last tour we went on was the holiday tour, and the holiday tour was really fun.
Oh my gosh, that was filled with all sorts of very specific
facts and figures,
holiday facts
we wanted to remember, but our brain was like, ugh.
Lots of numbers. Lots and lots and lots of numbers were thrown at us during that one. It was the one thing I tried very hard to remember from what we learned on that tour was the exact temperature that it needed to be in the room when they were doing the candy canes, and that's already fallen out of my brain.
It was 100.
It was over 100 degrees. I remember that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. They said, exactly what it was. It was I don't know, 128 or something. Maybe that was it. Who knows?
I don't think it was that hot.
I don't remember, but it was something. It was specific. It wasn't what we.
It wasn't
just
a range or it's about this. Yeah. Well, a character not often seen at the resorts made a visit for Earth Day. Wall-E was in the lobby of the Pixar Place Hotel, roaming around and greeting guests. He also opened up his storage compartment to share the plant, potted it a boot, just like in the movie.
I cannot handle this. I'm hoping. I mean, we love Bing Bong, and Bing Bong is the one that is typically who you meet and greet with at the hotel. But how cool is Wall-E? He's just super cool as a character in general, but looking at him, he just looks so good. I don't know where you could really have him in the park because, it's Wall-E. He's a little bit shorter. You'd have to have him in a designated area. I don't see him as just a character that's out wandering the park. So
he's smaller than R2, isn't he?
It looks like it. So we're looking at this photo. He's like, what, half the height of the Pixar ball, the Luxo ball in the lobby?
Yeah.
Or with the Luxo lamp, the Pixar ball with the Luxo lamp. He's like,
well, here's like
half
a door.
That height.
So if we like think about, I mean, he's pretty short.
He's little. So, and same thing, because even,
where did we see him? Didn't we see him at like D23 or something?
That was a fan version of WALL-E. That was not the official Disney WALL-E. But I just love that his little like compartment, his storage compartment opens up and has the little Easter egg of the boot with the plant. He's just missing his little cockroach friend.
Yeah. Huh.
I hope that this is not the last time we see WALL-E at the resort.
I've got to go back and watch WALL-E again because it's been quite a while.
Well, as we reported on previously, some permits have been filed with the Anaheim Planning and Building Department on relation to Portos coming to downtown Disney. We talked about removing the 2 ticket booths from the Esplanade, but did not mention that there is also a permit to tear down the existing building, currently home to Earl of Sandwich. No timeline on the permits, but this is forward progress indeed.
Yeah, and this is, Earl of Sandwich, the construction on the other end of downtown Disney seems to be going really well for that. So, there was a whole thing there for a while that people were like, well, is Portos coming? Is Portos not coming? There's no news about it. Things are not moving, and Earl of Sandwich was staying, and there was just a lot of uncertainty I think is like chilled out now.
They announced that not at last year's D23. It was 2 years ahead of that. So it's been a long 3 years almost, going on 3 years since they announced that this was happening.
4?
So close to 4. It'll be 4 next fall.
Yeah. It's a long time.
So it's been a while. So I understand why folks were kind of scratching their head on, is it coming? Did they back out? What's going on? But confirmation, permits have been filed. So that's good news that progress is progressing.
It's kind of interesting because I feel like some things at the resort seem to move very fast.
Yeah.
And some things just seem to poke along.
Yeah.
Like, what was it that we were constantly looking at, and it just seemed, was it maybe it was the Haunted Mansion. Oh, the Adventureland Treehouse seemed to go on forever.
Yeah. Well, and right now it's Pixie Hollow.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But that's supposed to be coming back soon. It's not on the refurbishment
we won't even
anymore.
mention the updated entrance gardens to the Tomorrowland.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, once again, Disneyland cast members were invited to create upcycled art projects to be shown off to guests for Earth Month. This time, the creations, ranging from a haunted mansion created from cardboard pizza boxes to Maleficent in dragon form made from plastic cutlery, are on display under the Silly Symphony swings for guests to enjoy.
I cannot handle the creativity that comes out in this upcycled art challenge every year. I mean, we've got not just the creativity that they had limited specific things that they were needing to use, but the creativity in what it is that they're creating. We have somebody created a popcorn cart. We have the scene, oh my gosh, I completely missed this the first time I saw it, of Cinderella's gown being made by her little friends. We've got the 2 birds suspended with wrapping the ribbon around the waist, but we also have Jack and Gus on the bottom there. There's WALL-E, there's several things to WALL-E, which I feel is very fitting.
Well, you got WALL-E with there's the cockroach friend.
There's the cockroach friend. And then we got WALL-E and Eve. Hopefully one of these times, I really have always enjoyed seeing photos of these displays. So shout out to, it's usually Mice Chat that we catch that has photos of these awesome displays. But this is something that hopefully the trip calendars will align so that we can be here to marvel at these in person. Like, look at this Little Mermaid one.
Mm-hmm. Check out the link in the show notes to see all these. They're pretty cool. I was particularly impressed with the Maleficent out of like plastic cutlery. Like, come on.
Yes.
And also this Mickey one was made, I was trying to see it. Picture isn't that high a quality for me to be able to see this very well, but I think it said it was made from like a chef's uniform that was like recycled.
Oh, yeah, it was a Mickey plush that was made.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, this week, the Disney Parks blog recognized a cast member who brings joy to countless or not so countless guests. Antonio has been working at the Disneyland Resort for 18 years and has received over 735 cast compliments from guests. Antonio works at Pixar Pure Attractions and before Disneyland worked for nearly 10 years in hospitality in Dubai and Qatar. Antonio's rise to fame is in part due to his exuberant energy and fun dance moves with guests.
So they had a cool video that they posted on Instagram on the Disney Parks and Disneyland cast community accounts. And what was so great about this to me is, first of all, fun, exuberant dancing, but also I think I'd forgotten or didn't know that every time they got a cast compliment, they got like a printed certificate. So he had like a little pile of these certificates, which I think, was it not at the beginning? It's probably towards the end that they have all of this, but it was really cool that I feel like I want to go ride the Pixar Pal around now to see this cast member and interact with him because
he's just like beaming with so much joy and happiness.
Yeah, look at him. He's dancing. He's talking to people. He's fist bumping kids. Some girl asked if he could sign her autograph book, and it seemed like it made him emotional. It's just so cool. And this also just goes to say, make sure you fill out a cast compliment if you have good stuff with cast members. You can do it in the app now, or you can do it at City Hall or the City Hall, or what's the one in California Adventure? It's
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
This is just so fun. This just proves cast members are the magic makers. And the other thing that was just absolutely incredible was that they, during this interview and kind of featuring him for the Disney Parks blog article here, he had never seen the videos of his dance move that guests had been taking and also posting, in various places online. So they actually went through and were showing him some of the videos, and he was just like so taken aback, and he got emotional about it. And like, he just had, I think it really probably sunk in for him. His like, what he does matters, and it makes it a positive impact in the guest experience and in the world in general. But I mean, tons, like, he was in the end of that video, he was banging on a trash can, like singing a song and like doing his own little drum beat, like just tons of fun, tons of energy. I hope we could have more Antonios in the world. The world would be a better place for sure.
Well, last week we talked about recycling your food scraps at Disneyland. Well, since then, little droids have appeared on top of the food scraps containers to remind guests that only food scraps should be deposited into the bin they're standing on. And I just wanted to point out, SnackChat said that it was Wally, but I was just looking, and it's like one of the BD droids.
I was going to say, it looks like one of the BDX droids that's walking around. He's so cute.
He's holding up a little sign that says, "Food scraps only. This bin is for returning biological organisms." How cool to like add something to it.
This is why we love Disney. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And way to make saving the planet like fun and a little bit more adorable and enjoyable for everyone.
Yeah.
So fun. I hope that the little droid things are permanent.
Yeah.
And that they aren't just there for Earth Month.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because I would love to see them. I hope that they stay. They're so cute. Well, a new way to check out at Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta has arrived. A kiosk for guest self-checkout has been installed. The system scans the items on the tray, adds it up, and asks for payment. Currently, Magic Key discounts must involve a cast member, and payment can only be made with credit or debit cards.
So I'm kind of on the fence about this because I like the idea of it, right? Because like sometimes when you're waiting to check out, it can take a while. And if this is accurate, it'd be cool because it looks like you just set your tray down, and as long as you have your items separated, the little camera sees what's there. And as a place like Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta, they only have so many items, so it's probably easy enough for it to recognize. And then it's got a little terminal, and it'll have all your items listed. You can pay. I think if they could find some way to get over this Magic Key discount having to involve a cast member, that would be helpful. But I also know that like sometimes self-checkouts can be slower if people aren't like used to it. In fact, we didn't talk about this in the news this week, but David over at Fresh Baked was commenting on how long the lines were at like 9:30 a.m. this week because they finally switched over to the guests scanning themselves into the park. And he's like, he thinks, and I agree, that as time goes on, this will be less of a problem. It's just nobody knows how to do it right now.
Yeah, it's learning curve. Well, another thing too, my question with this is it's not like a traditional self-check that you see like in a grocery store.
Yeah.
It's like visually scanning your items. So what if it misses an item? What if it scans an item for one thing but it's something else? Or what if it somehow like what if it isn't accurate?
Yeah.
Can you, the guest, adjust that, or does a cast member need to come over and adjust it to make sure that your items are correct?
Yeah.
So
question.
I'm really curious about this. I think this could be something great and something that would help kind of take the strain, because like Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta, whenever we've been there,
it's not that busy.
Sometimes it's like the poor one cashier that's having to go through, and stuff happens because people are, maybe it's the first time they've ever been there, or, they've got questions or whatever. So sometimes the line can feel like it's gotten a bit at a standstill. But even just with how this is set up, it's kind of like at Rancho, where you've got like, you're supposed to kind of just slide on by with all your stuff. Well, so how it's set up, there's just not a ton of cashiers really, and they've even gone for like reduced how many of the stations they ever have staffed. So I could see how this could take some strain off of it. So we're gonna have to go there. There's lots of good food items.
Yeah,
just to try it out ourselves. I'm so curious.
What kind of could be interesting here is, I feel like something that could be like a hybrid that'd be really cool. It'd be neat if you'd put your tray on this as you're waiting for the cashier, and it would like kind of tally, and then the cashier could just glance and then be like, okay, you have all these items, because then that takes away the time it takes for the cashier to input stuff. So if like you could put your tray there and then put the next tray there, let's say, because like sometimes like if it's you, me, and Vern and James, there's 4 trays worth of stuff potentially. And so if it could do that kind of pre-processing, because sometimes the cast members like, okay, you've got a chicken thing here and you've got that there and how many drinks and whatever.
Yeah.
But if it could just be like a spot check of like, this looks like what's all there. Cool. Here's your price. Let me do your discount.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's a good point.
That could speed up some things. That's not what they're doing, but that could be something anywhere, because almost all the restaurants have stuff like this. Rancho has something like this. Tiana's has something like this where you bring up Plaza Inn.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. Now my brain's a going. Well, weekly tiers who may be in the park starting May 9th should know that it is grad night season at the resort again, and park hours may be impacted. This year, there's some new, more generic graduation merchandise available for purchase, if you're into that as well.
There's all sorts of stuff with like class of 2025 on it. There's a Mickey graduation cap with ears, 2 different versions. There's kind of like the traditional graduation cap that has ears on top of it, but then you also have an ear headband with, instead of a bow, you have a tiny grad cap in between your 2 ears. I very much enjoy the Stitch plush. That Stitch has his little graduation cap on, and he's like eating his diploma.
After all that hard work, Stitch, you're going to eat your diploma.
Mm-hmm. But there's also t-shirts as well as other merchandise.
So just to give you a heads up, that they usually take place on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and Fridays and Sundays in May and June. So the dates for this year are May 9th, 12th, 18th, 21st, 22nd, 27th, 28th, and 30th, and June 1st, 4th, 6th, 8th, 11th, and 13th.
Look at that. We're gonna be right in the midst of grad season, Tag.
Oh, yeah, because we are there.
We fly in on the 28th.
But this happens at DCA, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in DCA.
Yeah. So just be prepared.
I will say, pro tip, if you are not doing 1 park per day, it is not a bad idea to start your day in DCA, because a lot of people avoid DCA and are in Disneyland, especially if they only have a 1 park per day ticket. So pro tip, kind of follow what grad night's doing, but just hop over to Disneyland in the afternoon to avoid the grad night rush of crowds.
Yeah, great tip.
Unplug your cleaning routine with the Ryobi 18-volt One Plus cordless cleaning lineup. From tackling bathroom tile with the soap-dispensing telescoping power scrubber, to cleaning wet and dry messes with the 2-in-1 Wet-Dry Swift Clean Stick Vacuum, to cleaning up pet hair and debris with our advanced stick vacuum, Ryobi has a solution for every cleaning task. And because one battery powers over 300 products, you have the power to do more. Visit ryobitools.com to learn more. Sold exclusively at the Home Depot.
Duh, we have to get the snacks for Tag and Teresa and James and Bern. Oh, and Cinderella. Time for SnackChat.
For SnackChat this week.
Oh, buckle up, people.
First of all, it was a little strange because they announced a bunch of stuff on a bunch of different Instagram posts on the Disney Eats Instagram page. So
And they had it, we'll go through it, but they had them
themed.
So one day it was just a bunch of what new churros, what new drinks, and even drinks were divided into cold brews versus like non-cold brew drinks and desserts and some savory items. So, but yeah, buckle up. There's a lot.
All of these things will debut on the day this podcast drops, so they should all be in the parks now. And actually, I did not see this first item. By the way, Disney Food Blog was great, and they combined all of these things into one giant post, which I find a lot easier to look at than trying to look at a bunch of Instagram posts. But the Instagram did a good job because they posted pictures of each of the items, which was great. But this first one I did not see, but I'm very excited for, and it's a watermelon lemonade that you can get at the Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree. It can also come in a Jamboree Mason jar sipper. I kind of want this in the
There's
sipper.
also lemon-flavored popping spheres that are in it as well. So
I don't know about the lemon, but the watermelon sounds amazing.
There's a new peach lemonade served with peach rings coming to Harbor Galley. It's made with lemonade and peach puree, garnished with peach rings, and rimmed with chili lime seasoning.
Well, this sounds good, too. At Paradise Garden Grill, they have a pineapple agua fresca. I love pineapple. I think pineapple's like their new flavor because they've got some pineapple things. They also have a fresh pineapple cocktail that has tequila, the agua fresca de pina, and a chili lime seasoned rim.
Over at the Little Red Wagon, you can pick up the new, this sounds more, maybe you'd like this better, lychee strawberry green tea. No lemon in there for you. This drink is made of green tea infused with lychee flavor and topped with strawberries. It looks very refreshing, like on a hot summer day.
At the cappuccino cart, when you're there getting coffee, I might pick up a mango guava iced tea.
There you go. This one is on my list for sure.
Okay.
There is a new mint julep in town. It's the passion fruit mint julep, of course, available at the Mint Julep Bar, made with passion fruit mint and a hint of lime.
Well, this will be great because you can get that, and then you can pick up a set of the pineapple beignets that we'll talk about a little bit.
That's true.
There's also a tiki margarita at the Hollywood Lounge made of tequila and pineapple margarita. I told you pineapple is the thing right now.
It's because it's delicious. Buckle up because now Sugar Rush is coming to town.
Geez.
We've got a s'mores butter cake sundae that's going to be at the Red Rose Tavern. This looks gorgeous. It's made up of, there's a chocolate butter cake on the base, topped with vanilla ice cream, chocolate sauce, graham cracker crumbs, and toasted marshmallow toppings. It looks ooey gooey. Amazing.
There's the matcha float at the Tropical Hideaway that is made of a Dole Whip strawberry and mango swirl topped with white chocolate drizzle and toasted coconut.
You know what? We can pause on these
because we've done some of these.
Yeah, these all came out prior to.
Okay.
This came out before last week, so skipping ahead. We're shortening up your your thing because we talked about all those.
Did you talk about we talked about the cold brew, right?
I think we even talked about the pineapple.
I don't remember this.
No,
one.
we didn't get to not the cold brew. So
okay,
my favorite section of SnackChat is the cold brew corner, we're going to call it. We have a banoffee pie cold brew is going to be at the cappuccino cart. It is butterscotch cold brew topped with banana cold foam and garnished with cocoa shavings.
do you think I would like this?
You might,
because I don't like the coffee flavor, but I feel like it could be like the one that we had that I was really into. Depending
on how much of that banana cold foam there is, that might really cut on the coffee flavor for you. I think you need to. I will get all these 100%. You need to try a.
Will get all these. No,
you need to try a sip of them because all of these sound like they're on the more
sweet.
I'm going to call them dessert cold brew side of things than the
Okay, well at Antcast Cafe, there's the strawberries and cream cold brew. That's vanilla cream cold brew and topped with strawberry cold foam. Could be good.
And then we also maybe you wouldn't like this one. And finally, there is a new cold brew also popping up at Tiana's Palace. It is beignet flavored.
Ooh.
And you can, so when you order it, it is just the cold brew, but you can add a cream topper if you so choose.
I am interested to try that as well.
Me too. All three of them are happening.
And now we're going
next
into something
trip.
that I think you'll enjoy because you love salads.
I do
I mean,
love
you usually
salads.
love wedge salads, and I don't know if there's a wedge salad on here. But the first one is at Harbor Galley, of all places. There is a steak salad.
It looks so good.
Which is a roasted tri-tip, blistered broccolini, haricot vert, pickled fennel, sweet peppers, and red wine vinaigrette. This actually, I would eat this because this has all the stuff that I would totally eat. It's like a steak dinner in a salad, really.
Yeah, there you go. A steak dinner salad. Over at Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree, there's a barbecue salad, which is made with chopped brisket, romaine and kale lettuces mixed together, cucumber, carrots, a corn rib, and chili lime vinaigrette. Ooh, that one sounds good too.
I don't know how to pronounce this, so I apologize in advance, but you can get a chicken Nicoise shaker salad at Idlewild Snacks. It's got mixed greens, grilled chicken, hard-boiled eggs, green beans, cherry tomatoes, olive tapenade, and potato chips served with a honey mustard dressing. And it's in like a cup, so I think you can just like shake it up or whatever. There is also a full version of that same salad at Red Rose Tavern with all the same ingredients. It's just not in the cup.
There's a plant-based strawberry pecan salad with romaine and kale mixed greens, fennel, strawberries, candied pecans, and a strawberry vinaigrette that is coming to Royal Street Veranda.
At Paradise Garden Grill, there is an chiote chicken salad, which has a chiote marinated chicken, crisp romaine lettuce, roasted corn, black beans, tomatoes, crispy tortilla chips, and cotija cheese tossed in a spicy Caesar dressing.
This one is happening. This chicken salad at Paradise Garden Grill. We can also get, there was something else on the, I need to start making a list because there was something else at Paradise Garden Grill that already made our list of must tries.
And we can use the self-checkout.
And we can use, no. That's the neighboring pizza.
Oh, dang it. That's right.
Pizza and pasta.
I get it all mixed
Boardwalk.
up over there.
I know. Sure.
It's one of those things.
But that one looks delicious. This next, I might just be eating salads and drinking cold brews all next time that we're there. Because the race day salad at Flo's V8 Cafe looks amazing. It's for chicken tender lovers like myself, but it's made with fresh romaine lettuce topped with golden crispy chicken tenders, snap peas, shaved carrots, zesty ranch dressing, shredded Parmesan, and chopped bacon.
All right, moving out of that.
Breakfast lovers
to some
unite.
breakfast. At Maurice's Treats, you can pick up a breakfast cheesy pretzel bread, which has scrambled eggs and sausage in it. I'm not sure about this one, to be honest with you.
I was just going to ask, what you thought of that?
I want to try it, but the thing is I feel like they already have the perfect breakfast item in a breakfast Ronto wrap, so I feel like they don't need anything except for my potatoes.
But the nice thing about this is if it is a contender with the breakfast Ronto wrap, it's very easy to grab this and continue on with your day.
Sure.
And go anywhere
all the way in the back,
versus having to, you're very dedicated if you're getting a breakfast Ronto wrap because that is the back far corner of the park.
Yeah.
Over at Bengal Barbecue, this is interesting because they're not usually open for breakfast, but they will be soon. There is a Bengal breakfast bowl. It includes white rice, scrambled eggs, fried spiced ham. It looks like Spam. I don't know if they can use that, but that's what if they can say that term, but that's very much what this photo looks like. Gravy and a chili oil.
So this next one sounds really good, but I have to say the photo does not make it look very appetizing to me. Back over at California Adventure, the Cappuccino Cart has a carne asada breakfast burrito. It's made with marinated steak, scrambled eggs, Monterey Jack, and potato bites.
Ooh.
I think it's just because, it's not very
it's
colorful.
I was going to say, it's got a lot of kind of
muted
the
colors.
color of eggs. So you've got a dull yellow, and then the inside of the potato wedges. I didn't even realize that's what that was. And then steak is not always. Sometimes it's colorful. Sometimes it's a little muted. This one's a little muted.
It sounds good
it does
though.
Sound like it would be good.
Like steak, eggs, Monterey Jack cheese, potato. I mean, it sounds good.
If I could get this minus the eggs, I would. 100% would. The final breakfast item on the list is over at Shawarma Palace. It is the Denver Breakfast Shawarma. You will find scrambled eggs, potatoes, ham, cheddar cheese, and bell peppers inside, served with spicy ketchup.
I am all for this if it didn't have the ham. I just don't really like the chunks of ham like that. Anyway.
Oh, churro time.
Where is producer Vern when
Right?
it's churro time?
I'm surprised he didn't just come like running up out of nowhere like,
Right.
oh, did someone say churro?
Well, the first one is the Banana Conanza churro from Cozy Cone 1, which is a classic churro topped with banana cream and crust dust.
Crust dust. I just like that word. That's great. I think this is on my list to
Ooh,
try.
yeah.
Next up is probably also on the list to try the tiramisu churro, which is over in Hollywoodland. This is a classic churro rolled in vanilla, cocoa sugar, and drizzled with espresso sauce.
They have a chocolate pecan churro at Willie's Churros. It's a classic churro topped with maple glaze, toasted pecans, and chocolate drizzle.
This one is just fun themed. It's the gator tail, which is just a classic churro rolled in green sugar. And shocker, you find this one in Bayou Country because it's a nice themed churro.
So many. I could have been a foodie guide.
I'm surprised it wasn't a
And
foodie
these are
guide.
also just available.
Yeah,
like
these
this
are,
is just menu items.
Yeah, this is just menu updates and changes. It's not like these are they didn't say limited time or seasonal or anything like that, which is crazy because we have a little thing coming up around the corner. Actually, I'm surprised we don't have a foodie guide for that yet, called the 70th anniversary of the Disneyland Resort. So I'm surprised we didn't hear. These might be like the summer. You know how they sometimes like do seasonal,
Sure.
like as in summer versus.
They didn't say
fall.
there was end dates for any of this stuff,
That's
though.
true. I don't know, but
Lots
stuff
of good
like,
food.
Stuff like the churros usually like they don't have the themed churros constantly, so that makes me feel like it probably has an end date, but they didn't give it to
So
us.
now we have a lot of breakfast options, which was like something that seemed like the resort kind of needed a little bit.
We're getting more coffee.
Now they need like some late night snacks, like some like just little bites that you can get just in the evening, like when you're trying to get your last few rides or whatever in. That would be cool. I mean, I feel like the cookies at Harbor Galley kind of fit that because like you want something to snack on or whatever. But I feel like they should have something late night
Red Rose
snack wise.
was doing kind of like a late night, and so was Galactic Grill. I don't know, like if Pim feels like a good one to do kind of a late night thing.
Do you know
at
what wasn't
DCA.
on that list? That pizza thing.
Oh, you're right. The pizza pull-apart bread.
That looked really good.
That also looked good. That was available somewhere in DCA. Well, it's that time again for our friend Eric over at Concierge to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concierge, and welcome to the D180. While Tag and Teresa cover all things Disneyland, in the D180 we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. That's a lot of pressure for this one. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. We begin this week at sea because the Marvel Day at Sea is back and in a new location. The Disney Magic is sailing out of Galveston, Texas in 2026, bringing this exciting event to a new berth. Marvel Day at Sea is bigger than ever, too. Dozens of superheroes have plenty of adventures around the ship. Experience shows on the upper deck and in multiple locations below. Try out your superhero skills in the Avengers Training Initiative. Make sure you stay up until dark so you can watch a combo of story, stunts, and spectacular fireworks during the Marvel Heroes Unite show. Sailings out of Port Canaveral, Florida may include Pixar Day at Sea. This party is packed with your favorite Pixar pals showing up in the pools and at meals throughout the day. There's even a fashion parade judged by Edna Mode herself. Make sure you bring your best Pixar-themed outfits and maybe you'll impress the harshest critic at sea, darling. Both of these parties offer a fun change up from the standard Disney Cruise Line fare. Make sure you ask one of our Concierge cruise experts if your sailing has a special event like these. Pixar and Marvel Days at Sea come back starting January 2026. If you want to voyage a bit further, check out the Australia and New Zealand cruises. For sail dates from October 2025 to February 2026, you can save up to 30% off of your stateroom. Not all rooms qualify for this offer, and you have to book by July 25th. So there's a time limit here, folks. If you're interested, give us a call ASAP to get in on this deal. Okay, folks, come in closer. Let's talk deals. Stop me if you've heard this one. Actually, don't, please. I get paid by the word. You might know that the Disney dining plan is back at Walt Disney World. There are 2 options, one featuring quick service meals and the other including 1 sit-down table service meal per day. For those visiting a Disney hotel for 4 nights this year, between July and late December, the whole family gets a free dining plan. There are some spots where this deal doesn't apply. The dining plan you get is determined by the hotel that you're staying in. Talk to one of our Walt Disney World experts for the full details, but yeah, free food. I love these deals. It's so great not having to worry about paying for yet another thing throughout the day. And hey, in 2026, kids eat free. For certain periods of travel next year, if the adults get dining plans, the kids from 3 to 9 get free meals too. Sounds like a good deal to me, especially if you have one of those kids who's constantly growing and needs all the calories they can get. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you would like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both DLWeekly and Concierge. Then reach out to your personal travel planner, Teresa. She looks forward to planning something special for you and yours. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Thanks, Eric.
Reminder for all weekly tiers. These questions can feel like a high-speed roller coaster type ride in the dark, with self-high fives, sudden drops, and stumps. Follow all pre-launch procedures, including stowing hats, glasses, and all loose possessions in the cargo pouch located directly in front of you.
Hello there! You've made it to Trivia Land, and you only look a little tired after all that snack chat.
I mean, we're very full. So try not to jostle us around too much on Trivia Land today.
Okay. I think I can handle that.
Okay.
Because today we're just focused on an icon. Some might say the icon of the park.
Sleeping Beauty Castle?
That's right, but that's not a trivia
there
question.
Could be so many things that could fill in that blank of an icon, and then some people consider it the icon. So which icon are we talking about?
Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Oh, it is. I thought you said it could be. I was like, it's not? Okay.
It is, but that is not one of the questions this week. So,
see, he's trying to cheat. He's like a genie. He's trying to cheat like an extra bonus question in there that doesn't count for anything.
3 rules.
Yes.
Yes. So let's get in. Let's see how well you know this beautiful, beautiful icon. So question number 1 has 2 parts to it. What is the height of Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty Castle in feet? And what design technique makes it appear taller?
Forced perspective. I got that one. Forced perspective helps to make it look taller, and it's really only...
Is it... Okay, so the Matterhorn is 59 feet, because 160 feet is they have to put a light on it or something like that. Isn't that right?
Yeah. My gut is that it's somewhere in the upper 50s to mid-higher 60s.
I don't know why my brain went there,
10-foot range.
but I'm going to say 86 feet.
Oh, I was going to say, dang, my first thought was 69 feet tall. You're 86?
86.
86, 69. Got it. All right. Question number 2. What is on the Disney family emblem displayed above the castle's archway, and when was this added?
Oh, the family crest. I don't remember what's on it.
It's got a dragon. Doesn't it have a dragon on the side?
It's dragon, or if it's lions.
Ooh, could be lions.
Is it 3 lions? Okay, I'm thinking 3 lions. That's the random thing that came in my head. Are you going with dragon? It's yellow, I think.
Well, now I'm do I want to do dragons or do I want to do lions? Because it could be... I'll do dragons just to be different. It's what?
I think it's yellow.
Isn't it yellow and black, or am I totally making that up?
Yeah, no, I think yeah. Well, yeah.
But let's see if we can get the easier part. When was it installed there?
Oh, boy.
It wasn't there on
the easier
opening.
part for sure.
10th anniversary. So 65.
Let's do, for me...
Maybe the 5-year anniversary, 60.
59. Because why not? 59 was a good year.
They were busy that year. They had bigger fish to fry.
So, Teresa, are you going with 1960 or 1965?
I changed to 60.
Okay. Very good.
65.
And
Just
take
write it down.
and take
Oh.
going with 59. Got
Yeah.
it. All
But
right.
now I'm thinking maybe it was 57, but I'll stick with 59.
Okay. Okay. Third question. How many times has the castle's drawbridge been lowered since opening?
Twice.
Wow, that was a very fast answer from both of you.
Opening day
And then
and
redo a
the
fantasy land.
83 rededication. Yeah.
Wow. Throwing that out immediately, no hesitation. Very good. Okay, let's see if I can finish this question before.
I mean, okay, twice officially. They probably tested it a couple of times.
Maybe.
Park opening.
Okay, so let's let James finish the question before we yell out an answer.
Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. All right, last question. What special decoration was added to the castle, and specifically the turrets, for Disneyland's 50th anniversary? Well, thank you for letting me finish asking the question.
No,
Are they like
you thought it was-
diamonds?
that was the 60th
you're
anniversary.
right.
The 50th anniversary,
Oh, gold.
yeah, they're gold.
Were they like gold globes?
No. It's funny because like they've always been gold, because wasn't that like the thing that Walt did, was he wanted
Oh,
them
yeah,
gold,
yeah. But like
and he did it behind
like
Roy's back?
bigger globes. I don't
Not
know.
globes. I was there.
I know you were.
I'm just trying to remember what
I
the
was
heck they
not
were.
there, so that's why I'm like totally stumped on this.
20 years ago, what did it look like?
Oh my god, it's been 20 years.
Did they do something like? No, that'd be cool if they would have put like Walt and Roy's initials as little like
Yeah.
things or something. They didn't put like little 50s up there, did they?
No. I feel bad because I feel like I know tons of stuff about the 50th anniversary, but
you
I
need
did
to
not know
turn
this.
in your 50th anniversary card.
I just think that they just like redid all the gold
Just
stuff on the top.
refinished it?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like James is saying there was something specific, though.
There probably is. But I
There-
don't remember
there
what it
was.
Yeah. So are you stumping? No, don't look it up.
I'm stumping. I'm saying that
You're stumped.
You can
No,
be
I'm
just
saying
as surprised as everyone else
that they
when I
just
read the answer.
they just redid the thing.
Re-goldified
They
it?
re-goldified it.
Teresa, what are you thinking?
I put globes, gold globes, like larger, like bobble type things on the turrets.
X.
Oh! Crowns.
Oh.
Crowns. They were crowns.
You're right.
Or was it the Diamond Celebration? I'm going to say crowns.
That is excitement for crowns.
They had crowns, gold crowns.
Is one still there?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so crowns is your
Crowns.
Crowns. 4 very exciting questions. Lots of great reactions from you two. I can't wait to see how you feel when we get the correct answers after our discussion topic this week.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are continuing our conversation with Michael Holland, the podcast host of From Out of the Past podcast, and talking about the year before Disneyland.
So in your research with this, was there anything that kind of sticks out to you, or any kind of like fell off your chair, like, holy cow,
Other than
moments?
a million things were happening in the year, yeah.
Anything that just like totally wowed you as you were going through, that you kind of uncovered that you either maybe didn't know much about, maybe didn't know at all? Anything that that comes to mind with that?
Yeah, I would say maybe this is not a spoiler. It's literally the first word. It's the first word of the podcast, because I kind of wanted it to hit, and that is perseverance.
Mm-mm.
From the real, I was obviously a big fan going into it, but I spent about 6 months kind of doing nothing but this specific year, be it
Wow.
books and YouTube videos. And there's a great guy, if you don't know, his name's Alex the Historian. On YouTube. He does wonderful old Disney YouTube videos. And I for 6 months I just lived 54 to 55. And the one thing that really stood out was Walt and Roy's perseverance. Neil Gabler, in his Walt biography, makes this really great simile that so many people think of Disney as sort of sitting on Parnassus, the great Greek home of the Muses. And Disney, certainly by 55 or 54, 55, but Disney just sort of sprinkled down their magic on us. And look, they did amazing, breathtaking sprinkling over the last 100 years. But it was never just magic. It was consistently hard work. It was a consistent perseverance by Walt and Roy and the company, and for money and for time. There's this sort of, from a Roy perspective, there's this sort of belief that the only time that Disney as a studio was sort of flush with like a critical success and a commercial success, and was about 6 months right after Snow White.
Oh, wow.
Where they kind of went, because not even, in a sense, not even Mickey, and Mickey is 28 and Snow White's 37. And that's a long time. And Mickey certainly gave them some success, but they had already had the Hyperion stage. They were, in a sense, already working on Snow White. So the only time that they really said, oh, I have something now, we have 2 seconds to relax, is about the 6 months after Snow White. And, part of that perseverance is, as soon as they had that success, certainly monetarily, the very first thing they did was build the new studio.
Yeah.
Which they started moving into in 1940. That's only 3 years later. And already by 1940, World War II was dropped on them.
Mm-hmm.
So 40 is the next time that we would see a movie, and it was both Fantasia and Pinocchio, and they were critically more a success, I think, than most people think. They actually did well. The problem was they were not a commercial success because World War II had already begun.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit the US until 41, but that's only, it's at that time, I think it's only 13 months later.
Yeah.
But it's already happening in Europe, and at least a third to almost half of their distribution, which is Europe and Asia, is completely cut off.
Yeah.
That's a big reason that, say, Fantasia and Pinocchio don't do well. So, almost, I'll even say a year after Snow White, they are already back behind the 8 ball, certainly monetarily. And that never really lets up, even up until Disneyland. And as you guys mentioned before, it was by no means, a lot of people sometimes think of maybe it was like Walt's hobby at the time, because he was so successful and
right.
just right. And none of that's true. There is this tremendous amount of perseverance all the way through Walt's and Roy's lives, and certainly their careers. I think the thing that kept Walt and Roy going was far less any money and or success. It was the perseverance of trying to do what was next.
Yeah.
And so I do hope that kind of comes through in the storytelling.
Yeah, I think a big influence on them not always being behind the 8 ball was Walt always trying to, and there's audio clips and stuff of him all the time saying, like, we're always opening new doors and trying new things and, pushing everything. Look at all the stuff that during his lifetime came about. Of course, we had the first full-length feature animated film. We had the thing like the multi-plane camera. We had all these different things that they developed to try to push things forward. And, even looking at Disneyland, with Disney World, he didn't want to do the same thing again. He was going to have a theme park as part of it, but he was going to do this whole Epcot thing that was totally different. So I think it would have been really fascinating to see what would have happened with his life if he had lived longer, like what else would have spawned from him. And I feel that way about like a lot of the people who seem to kind of push that stuff forward. Even more recently, you get people like Steve Jobs, who was known for pushing a lot of things forward. And even though I know right now it's kind of like a dirty word to some folks, but like even like Elon Musk, he's a little nutty now, but like he pushed a lot of things forward. We have a lot of cool space stuff because like he pushed all that stuff forward. So it's just interesting that like I don't think he ever would have been content with anything, right? Like I think Walt was always going to be behind because anything he got, I think he put 110% back in to do the next thing. because he wasn't ever satisfied. Like, he wanted to keep pushing things. And so now I can't wait to listen to the whole season and like hear all these things going on. And I can't even imagine trying to keep all of those things happening at one time, all the plates spinning, if you will.
Right.
Well, yeah, and like, kind of going back to your question earlier, is once I sort of was like, okay, here's the spine of that year, I did try and go back and then take each of those like 7 topics and say, okay, let me just think about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. When did that start? What was happening? How did that, and then so you kind of do a spine for each of the 7 things, and then start to weave those through, and sometimes there are, an hour-long episode, and sometimes the episode is an hour 40, because I was like, man, if I don't kind of get through, because another thing that I do throughout it was I became fascinated with, because it essentially, spoiler, it essentially ends with Disneyland opening. I became fascinated with an actual list of what was in Disneyland when it opened, because there's a lot of kind of conjecture there, bizarrely still. So as part of 5 of the episodes, I do a tour of each of the 5 lands that were there when it opened, saying, here's what was there then. And so I was like, well, if I don't get through maybe the story of Main Street, I've got to still get through what happened in that month or those 2 months of the year, because I've got to keep this thing moving. I got to keep the train moving, so to speak. So I just went, well, you know what? Some ep's going to be an hour and some's going to be an hour 40, but I hope the Disney fans will just keep going forward.
Did you find something that I find interesting often, and I'm curious what your take on this is sometimes I find, Teresa and I've talked about this a few times as well, that what we know as Disneyland today is not what Disneyland was when the park opened. Mm-hmm. And so one question we get sometimes, or that people say, is like, oh, if you could go back to a time in the past of Disneyland, like, where would you want to go? And like you've said, like, the opening day was right. You've said opening day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'd
want to be a fly on the wall for opening day. I don't know if I'd want to like be one of the people going through the masses of too many people and all that, but I would want to like bird's eye view it, kind of maybe be like hanging out in one of the main street, second story places or something.
Watch the chaos.
Just watch it all unfold.
Just a little popcorn.
Yeah,
you're just gonna watch it.
I just feel like, it's evolved into this other thing now that I feel like if you went on opening day and you never went again until recently, I feel like you'd walk in and be like, is this even the same place in a lot of ways? Sure. Because, a lot of the opening day attractions, when you watch that opening day report, a lot of this stuff looks very off, what we would consider today as off the shelf. Right. Dumbo and stuff like that. It was like, yeah, okay, it's an elephant, but it's still just kind of like, an arm or whatever. And now it's a highly themed arm. And you've got all the horticulture and stuff. So were you surprised, looking at Disneyland when you kind of took stock of what was there, that people were like, this is amazing? And by today's terms, people would probably just be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the questions that a lot of Disney fans ask themselves, on top of which way do you go, left or right, or left or right tunnel, is, what do you think Walt would think of Disneyland today?
That's true.
If he were able to walk through it. And I always go back to, my answer is always, I think he would love it, because he always wanted to plus it. And sometimes that would mean taking something out, and sometimes it would mean, putting something in. But I think that the reason that Walt would love it is not because of a technology shift that would just blow his mind, because he invented a lot of the mind blowing. But I think he would love it because it begins the same way. Mm-hmm. You walk in and you see the floral Mickey, you go through the tunnel, you come out onto Main Street, USA, and it feels like another world. And I think for that reason, and you still see the castle at the end, and I think for that reason alone, he would go, oh my gosh, wow, this is still beautiful, but B, wow, you guys still find this as a magical opening.
Yeah.
And then he'd be able to go through the park just like anybody did to his park. And he might be amazed at what the changes are and what it looks like, but it would still feel like the park that he intended, which was, and I get into this in the podcast because this was another thing that sort of surprised me. If I'm not backtracking, I promise. But the opinion, and you mentioned this, Tag, but the opinion of amusement parks then was not just that they were dirty, but they were nefarious. They were actually dangerous. So the idea of a clean park, the idea of a family-friendly park, the idea of what the park still is, I think he would still be really happy with it. And for that reason, I'm still really happy with it. One bizarre story beside the story fact that I discovered was the number one tourist attraction in 1954 in Los Angeles was Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Glendale.
Oh, jeez. For those who don't know what that is, that's like the famous people's cemetery.
Yes. Now, one thing that did not surprise me, and this is how I'm tying this in, I promise, was it is a gorgeous walk around.
It is.
It looks very nice. It is wonderfully landscaped. It's very inviting. It does not feel like a Tim Burton, cemetery. And Walt latched onto that. He was like, see, the park is going to be gorgeous. The park is going to be clean. The park is going to be welcoming. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why, A, he would still like it, and B, it's still a success.
Kind of going back on it's funny that you said the time machine things. I had literally just wrote a question regarding that.
I would like to say your previous question about mind-blowing thing. I was trying to read what you had written because I wanted to make sure that I didn't steal your question. And I was like, Teresa and I apparently have been interviewing long enough that we think similarly.
There you go.
It's the same question I was going to ask. So go ahead.
So my question, we're going back to the time machine thing, kind of like how we were talking about if you could go back and see opening day. From your research the year before Disneyland, is there a moment or a project that if you could be that fly on the wall, be there with your popcorn to just kind of sit in the background and watch, anything that kind of jumped out to you that was just extra? I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah, I mean, not just because it's the greatest attraction in the history of attractions ever. I would love to see what Jungle Cruise looked like then. Yeah. I would love to see what the stagecoaches, because that's kind of all they were in Frontierland, was a stagecoach ride, because Rainbow Cabins wasn't there yet, Mine Train. But, to get on a stagecoach and just drive around Frontierland must have been amazing. I would love, there are a couple of attractions, there were walkthroughs in Tomorrowland.
Oh, yeah.
That I have no idea. We've read about them. There are very, very few photos. But there's an attraction called Space Station X1 that was essentially a diorama in a movie. I would, if I could just see the movie now, that would be incredible. The Hall of Chemistry, the Monsanto exhibition where Star Tours is now, just to be able to walk through that and just see what they did then. There's a lot of things that you say, I can see why that evolved very quickly.
Right.
But to see, I would love to see the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea exhibit.
Yeah.
That was basically where, and it's already gone, but we all kind of know the neon sign where the Starcade was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's about where the 20,000 Leagues walkthrough was. I would love to have seen that. My wife and I were lucky to see the one in Paris. They have a 20,000 Leagues walkthrough, and I was like, wow, I bet this is, probably not this
That was
much.
really cool.
That is amazing. And it was probably far less technically amazing than that, but I would have loved to have seen that. Yeah. I would love to have gone to the Red Wagon Inn, where Plaza Inn is now, because that was a waitress served restaurant. That was a sit-down restaurant. I would love to have seen that. So yeah, it's and I think a lot of us that, maybe have, Magic Keys annual passes, and certainly for Disneyland, which is certainly the most local of the park. And I think a lot of us can go to Disneyland and just walk around. We don't necessarily have to get on an attraction. We can just get a little popcorn or get a Dole Whip and walk around and see this or do that. I would love to just walk around, even anytime in, the Matterhorn and the subs and the monorail come in 59. So really Disneyland at all up until that, that gets start building in 58. I'd love to just walk around and see what 55 to 58 looked like.
Well, just think about how much, that's the thing that's mind-blowing for me is how quick it changed, right?
Yeah.
Because opening day, you look at the opening day stuff, like I said, it kind of looks not necessarily, because it's hard to come across to modern audiences, right? Because it's like, well, it kind of looks quaint. Like, okay, people thought this was a big deal. But in that short amount of time until 59, then you're getting stuff that's still there today. Mm-hmm. The Matterhorn, the monorail, the sub, and those are all really, even still today, by some standards, kind of advanced and kind of neat things. Mm-hmm. And that was 4 years after they opened. And by saying stuff that came and went, I always think that it was so crazy, and this is Walt pushing things forward. The Viewliner was there for what? Like hardly any time. Yeah. They spent this money, they put this thing in, and then they're like, we're going to do a monorail instead. Yeah. Like what? Yeah. Like that's so quick.
Yeah, and the Skyway was no small thing, and that was running in 56.
Yeah.
1 year later.
That's so cool that they got all that crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. But see, that was Walt, right? He's like reinvesting. He wants to plus it. He wants to make it better. Once he realizes that that it was a success, he could do stuff with it, and people would be a little bit more, I think, supportive of it. One thing I do wish that I don't ever talk about, but one thing I wish I could see from Disneyland's past, the Polynesian show.
Oh, yeah.
That used to be in Adventureland.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be, because I saw that on the 10th anniversary special. I think they show like some stuff because it was like a dinner theater.
Sure.
I really would love to see that. Is there something from back in the day that you'd like to see specifically, other than being a fly on the wall on opening day?
For early Disneyland, this is going to sound really weird, but I cannot wrap my head around the fact that there was just kind of like a big grassy hill where the Matterhorn was. That was just like...
You could just wander around.
Yeah. What did they... I forget what they used to... Holiday Hill or something
Holiday
like that.
Hill.
Yep. I just like
that.
Like
also the makeout spot or something.
Kind of wild to me that there was green space.
Yeah.
Considering now that like every square inch of Disneyland is like worth so much to be able to put something there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and too, it's crazy that they dug out the Castle Moat. I mean, the three big things, let's say the Castle Moat, Rivers of America, and the Jungle Cruise. Mm-hmm. So, and they literally did not have enough money to remove dirt that they had dug out from the moat. So they left it there. and they tried to turn it into something before, and it was there for 4 years.
Yeah.
Before the Matterhorn. So that's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to people today.
Yeah.
The other thing is the berm, a truly 360-degree berm didn't exist. People think of it did, but it actually didn't until the Grand Canyon exhibit went in, and that was the time that they finally closed southeast kind of corner of the berm. So it was like, even what we might think of as this simple idea of Walt was like, I want to keep the inside from the outside, build the berm. Not even that did they have enough money or time to make happen right away. I mean, and in a month, I think it was. I mean, before December of 55, they had already had 1 million guests.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was already, we know the rocky start, but it was fairly a success right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, they always put money right back into themselves, but it was never, and I'm sure Bob Iger would say this right now, it's never been kind of a rest on your laurels.
Yeah.
I think the Disney parks make the most money for the company, and it is a great resource for that, but they cannot rest on their laurels.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm not quite certain when this aired. I think about as of this recording, it was, I think last week, you guys did a really nice, I thought, deep dive on Epic Universe.
Oh yeah.
And it was very smart. It was still on topic for Disneyland, but I think you made an excellent point that was, this will be another thing that makes them not rest on their laurels and will probably be good for all guests and for all artists, because I hope that they're kind of let off the leash a little bit.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, then the other big thing that this was announced between when we talked about it and today. Universal has now announced that they're opening a park. Where is it? In the UK?
The UK somewhere, yep.
Which I think is another, like, right, it's great, it's good. It's healthy competition between...
It's going to compete for Paris now, which will be nice.
Yep.
But there's a bunch of other theme parks in Europe, too, that are really spectacular.
Yeah.
Well, Warner, I think Warner still has, like, their Harry Potter thing there, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's... Yeah, so this is
But that's not like a
big...
theme park. Like, I went there, it's basically just kind of like a museum almost. Kind of, experience
step into the, like...
Yeah.
Into the films kind of thing, which is very, very cool. But
what do you think? I don't know how much you know about Epic Universe, but since you brought it up, what do you think? Have you seen anything, videos or anything about it?
Yeah, I saw Chris Provost.
Yeah.
I saw The Ordinary Adventure. Yeah, I think it looks amazing. You know, I had kind of forgotten that Harry Potter was the first truly immersive land. And that started, and I went, oh my God, that's right. That was well before Cars Land. And the fact that they doubled down and they said, you know, we're going to do that, but we're going to do it, whatever it is, 5 times in one park. And they really said, no, it's not going to be like you can kind of walk between the lands. And it's very different than a Disneyland or Disney World. It's, I want to go into the classic Universal. That's where I'm going to be. It's not, I can't see Harry Potter from there, or I can't, you know, and I think that's really exciting because my wife and son love going to Universal because he's a big Mario guy.
Yeah.
And so that land
gorgeous. Is amazing, by the way.
It is amazing. But like I walked into, and I really like Harry Potter. I like the movies. I like the books. But I walked into that and I was blown away by it. The fact that you can kind of walk down an alley and circle a building and come back and you know, my son was playing with like a wand that does things and I went, oh yeah, this is really impressive.
Yeah.
And seeing How to Train Your Dragon, like that land is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's bright and looks appropriate, and then the Universal one is dark and gray and black and white and looks appropriate. They clearly didn't say what's sort of the best for this entire park. They said, let's build the best land we can.
Yeah.
And let them be different and let people, you know, kind of pick and choose as they want to go through it. I don't know that I will cry as often as Kitra did. God bless her. But yeah, I'm sure that was an emotionally amazing thing to walk into that space and go, this is here and it's happening. And then to hear that the rides were as technically proficient as they seem to be, it's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
I think Universal saw what success they had with Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
And iterated, right, when they expanded, and then lands and things, experiences that they've built since then, they've kind of iterated over time. And I think when they came to planning this, and I don't know this, but this would just be my guess, is that they said, you know what? Let's put it all out there. Let's do everything we can to make every corner of this park the tip of what we are capable of. Maybe there's a different company, maybe Disney even is more technologically able to do something than they can. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't experienced any of these things yet. But let's just put it all out there. Let's just make the best dang thing that we possibly can in every way possible, and we'll see what happens. And if it's going to be as successful as I think it's going to be, that's what Disney did, right? With Disneyland.
Yeah.
He made it the best thing he could with what he had. He kept iterating. He kept adding more stuff to it. We've got Walt Disney World. You know, we've got parks all around the world now, and they've continued to push that innovation. So I think it's good that there's competition, because I think Disney needs a little competition. Honestly, I think Disney needs to be scared. And I think that they have been not scared for a long time, because they are the most visited places in entertainment all over the world. And so they've never had to worry about it. But I hope that Epic Universe can shoot up that list a little bit and just push Disney to do the good work that we know they can do.
Sure.
And just kind of give them some incentive to do it, because they don't really have a lot of incentive right now, because as we've seen, we talk about this all the time, they keep raising prices. People are complaining about the crowds and how expensive it is, but it's always crowded.
Yeah.
And you can never get a reservation like day of.
Yeah.
So like, it's not that people don't want to go.
There's definitely still demand. Very,
Yeah.
very high
So
demand.
I think it's going to be cool. I'm hoping it's a great experience. I still haven't seen I've seen really bad video of one or two of the attractions.
And on the attraction.
Yeah. And I really want to see, once the park opens in May, obviously people will find ways to get video if they, whatever, like they do everything.
Sure.
And I'm really interested to see that before I eventually go and experience it myself.
So when we were talking earlier, pre-Epic Universe stuff.
Sorry, Teresa keeps trying to get us on top.
We did it again.
That's okay. I had another thought of if there was something I could go do and see that we were talking about. I think Michael would want to come with me on this one. My head exploded watching the Disney Plus The Imagineering Story seeing Harper Goff in that station wagon van driving the dry riverbed of the Jungle Cruise. If I could somehow go experience that would be
you want to be in the station wagon.
I want to be in the station wagon with Harper Goff as they're trying to figure that all out. I mean, it's one of those things that obviously at some point it was just this dry dirt riverbed, but to see that was part of the process of how they were trying to place things out and how they were pretending that they were in the boat and this is how you see stuff. That was it makes sense that that's what they did, but it's one of those things that after you've been on the attraction 100 times, it doesn't occur to you that's how it would have started.
Yeah. Well, the Jungle Cruise is one of those things too that because it's been there for 70 years, it really is its own ecosystem now.
Yeah.
True.
Where opening day, again, talking about opening day, even attractions we still have today, Rivers of America probably didn't look nearly as awesome as it does today. Jungle Cruise did not look nearly as awesome as it does today. You said, you could see the sky. Now you go on the Jungle Cruise and it's a canopy. You really do feel like you're in all these different forests. So, it's I think it'd be fun to see Walt, because they have video and stuff of up on a pile of dirt in dress pants and a shirt with a tie, kind of standing up there looking over when have I ever done dirt moving projects or whatever? That would also be cool to see. Sure.
Yeah, and a fun weird little fact about that car that you see driving through it is a Nash Rambler, which is one of the cars from American Motors, which was a major sponsor of the park. And the car the wagon that sits right outside Soarin' in DCA is a Nash Rambler.
Oh.
It is pretend that I was in one of the that's as close as I'm gonna get.
it is the same, not the same car, but the same kind of car that you see in that video.
If you use your imagination, Teresa, you could be like, Harper Goff drove this. This is how rumors get started and all these weird facts show up on the internet.
Exactly. That, and I think
that's a great piece of trivia.
Experiencing the Jungle Cruise in its original serious version. Since we're so
without
used
the jokes.
Since we're so used to the punniness that it is now and all the ridiculous scenes, but seeing the serious version of it.
I think if it would have remained the serious version, it would not still be there.
I don't think it would have.
Not.
I also think that, and we have to remind people this sometimes, a lot of stuff that is from Walt's era would not be there if Walt would have lived longer. I don't think the Tiki Room would still be there. He was big about getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think when you're talking about he'd come in today, he'd probably be like, what is this still doing here?
Maybe.
It's awesome that you built all this other cool stuff, but why is Lincoln still in the Opera House? Why is the Tiki Room still here? Thank you, but you really could put something else here.
It would be great to say, Walt, when I tell you what's going to replace Lincoln, your head's going to explode.
Right.
Well, depending on who you listen to, what way will his head explode? Will he be mad, or will he think it was really cool?
He might.
That's true.
One of the animatronics at Universal, because one of the things that we were most in awe about...
Back to Universal.
No, talking about this Walt animatronic.
Yeah.
One of the things that was announced that is going to make this so spectacular is the Imagineers told us that he's going to stand up and take a couple steps to make it look even more realistic. And when I saw that cue video of Frankenstein looking like he's walking. I'm like,
oh, gotcha.
Oh, okay. And now Frankenstein does it. You could tell he's not like walking, but like it looks pretty good. I'm sure Disney's going to be even better, but very excited for that.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Take a ride with Walt today on the Jungle Cruise, because again, he saw the Jungle Cruise versus what it is today, like he'd probably be like, okay, I understand why this is still here, because it's the same, but it's not the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
Plus,
he'd actually get to go ride the Haunted Mansion, which he never got to experience.
And Pirates, which he never got to fully experience.
Yeah, and Pirates. Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, and not just in the year before Disneyland, but throughout. It's crazy how many things gestated, how many things were worked on, how many things were, this is next, and then it would be 15 years later, or something. It's really impressive how they would, we always say nothing ever dies at Disney because they would use it for something else. But like that would sometimes be 6 months or, 16 years.
Yeah.
They would bring something back. It's amazing how much they're juggling that we don't even know about, I'm sure, right now.
And like repurpose, like we might see something today that it seems like they're going to do. So for instance, the original Avengers Campus e-ticket was supposed to be like these. I think it was going to be kind of like the little kuka arm things that were going to take you and do different things, and they went away from that. But we get it as Stark Flight Lab, like in a different thing. So they're like, well, maybe we can't make it work for this e-ticket because maybe it wasn't high, whatever the reason is. But we can use it over here or try to do something with it. So, yeah, I like the fact that they don't forget stuff, and even decades later. Stuff is like, well, we wanted to do this then. Well, Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah.
We wanted to do that. It was decades, right? And stuff like that. So I think that that's really cool that they think about that. Mm-hmm. Well, Michael, is there anything that you would like to talk about that we did not talk about? We've talked about a lot.
I don't know what stone we would have left unturned.
People need to go listen to season 2.
Yes.
Of From Out of the Past
and season 1 especially if you're a Princess Bride.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Thank you.
So go check that out, and that'll give you plenty of listening. In addition to, I'm sure, DL Weekly every week and all that good stuff.
Yes.
The good news with From Out of the Past is the season is over, so you could binge through it if you wanted to, as opposed to us where you have to wait each week.
That's true. That's true.
All right. Well, the question we ask everybody at the end, and I'm really interested to hear what your answer to this one would be, is if you could work at Disneyland, what would you do? Now, the sky's the limit. It can be a real job or something you completely make up.
Well, this will come as no surprise at all, probably, but I would love to be a Jungle Cruise skipper.
I knew that was going to be your answer.
Yes. I mean, we all know, I think even Teresa, who puts up a pretty good front, he prefers the Haunted Mansion, but I think we'd all want to be at some point, and only half kiddingly, I would love to just take a boat out once.
Yeah.
And just do it once. I mean, to say the backside of water for real once would be gold.
See, Disney should offer a ticketed thing that, like, you could come in,
like
pay an outrageous amount of money, and we'll,
Yes.
the skipper will teach you how to do it. You get one little round of the thing, and that's it.
Well, they can drive the boat. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, that
I
too.
don't know if I need to be responsible for that part, but just be
like when Josh Gad was on it and stuff. Yeah.
I could do that. I think if I could do anything else, I would love to. I don't necessarily need to be like the everyday, the plaid vest host.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to like do a year before Disneyland kind of tour?"
Sure.
If you wanted to like take people out and just be like, "Hey, just talk about like Main Street when it opened, or just talk about Adventureland when it opened." I would love to like put on a headset and give 20 people a headset and be like, "Hey, let's just go around and we'll talk Disney, for an hour or whatever." I think that would be a lot of fun too, because the interaction with people is half the fun. And then to just be able to talk Disney history and have somebody come back, and say, "Oh, I know this," or "What about this?" or "Have you heard this?" I mean, the back and forth of that is part of the fun. That's the only thing I miss from not having a conversational podcast. Is it's not a conversation about Disney. It's or any topic. It's it's me. It's just kind of me telling my story, because I love when people say, "What's your favorite ride?" or "When was the last time you were there?" because immediately it's just rapid fire, and that's always fun.
So, Michael, I've got one last question for you.
Yes.
So, since you're going to be
the last question,
yep, a bonus last question.
We're in trivia land.
Yeah. Since you want to be a Jungle Cruise skipper, do you have any Jungle Cruise-esque jokes for us? Or if you don't, what's your favorite Jungle Cruise joke?
Yes. So when they were building the Jungle Cruise, Harper Goff wanted the waterfall. And the biggest problem with it is water is simply very heavy. So in order to build the waterfall at all, they had to do like reinforced steel and concrete and blah, 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 blah. Very expensive. And so they were beginning it. They probably weren't halfway into it yet. And somebody went up to Harper Goff and said, hey, this is just too much money. It's going to take too much time. We can't. And I'm not saying that Harper Goff lied, but he said, and this part we know is true, we're too far into it now.
Yeah.
It would actually cost us more money to go back. And I believe that he could have gone back, but he knew that it would be such a plus to see that in it. That it wasn't just, storybook land.
Yeah.
That there was this sort of 3-dimension to it, that we really only have that icon because Harper Goff was like, I'm going to build this, kind of damn the cost. Which leads into, hands down, my favorite Jungle Cruise joke, which is you're coming up on it and somebody's, the skipper says, there she is, majestic Schweitzer Falls, named after the humanitarian Dr. Albert Falls, which I laugh every single time. The fact that they would name it the Falls because they thought that was his last name, or they're intimating that that's his last name. Dr. Albert Falls makes me laugh every single time that one of the
That is awesome.
That, and then, we'll go over that later.
Yeah.
I like that little ad too, whenever they have that ad. So
I also want to say lately, it's impressive that this is like one of the water features that they can keep working, because I feel like lately
That's true.
there's a lot of water features that for one reason or another just aren't working. And I'm like, how hard could it? People have these things in their backyards. You can't keep a water feature running because there's Big Thunder, there's a water feature thing. There was sometimes over by Snow White's Wishing Well that sometimes has issues.
There's no way. There's no way that attraction would be open if
the waterfall
was not working.
People would like riot.
Was not falling or was not water falling. Yeah. There's no way.
Producer Vern loves O2H. O2H.
He always
That's
chants.
great.
Even if he's the only one in the boat, he's chanting O2H.
Oh, yeah. Even if the skipper doesn't start it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would start going as O2H.
We need to do an Adventureland day, like when they have Adventureland Day, because I feel like it's a fun attraction just on any normal visit, but I can't imagine what it would be like to be in a boat full of Adventureland enthusiasts, specifically Jungle Cruise enthusiasts, and what that experience would be like.
That must be the highlight of the year for skippers.
It's their favorite day of the year.
Because I've been on boats. You've been on boats.
It makes me sad
that like people don't get it, or they don't think it's funny,
they're just
or
zoned
it's
out
just
or whatever.
like the whole boat ride is just silent. And it's like, this is really uncomfortable. Like, for a lot of like, first of all, you're at a Disney park. How are you not having a good time?
Have fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah.
So, Michael, where can people find you and from Out of the Past podcast, where can they find you, follow you, all of that good stuff?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I do hope everyone listening checks out the podcast, because I think it's fun. And, again, I tried to make it for newcomers and deep divers alike. It's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. As for social media, I'm most active on Instagram at Holland_Imaginarium. And the podcast has its own Instagram at From Out of the Past Podcast. I also have my blog, hollandimaginarium.blogspot.com. And I only kind of underline that because of the podcast, and I think I say this in episode 2, I say something to the effect of, I know you are getting thrown a lot of names and dates and places that you may not have heard before, and it's coming pretty rapid fire. So on the blog, I actually did a post called Facts and Keys, FAQS and Keys, that is a quick little thumbnail for pretty much everybody that I talk about throughout the season.
Oh yeah.
So if you say, who is Wathel Rogers, or what did who were the 9 old men? What did, you can at least kind of jump to it and say, oh, that's right, cool. And it's only like 1 or 2 lines, but it at least gives you oh, that's right, got it, cool, kind of moving on, which is exciting. But wait, there's more. If I may, I would love to say that exclusive to DL Weekly, you heard it here first. I would like to officially announce, not kidding, for the first time to the public, I am releasing The Year Before Disneyland as a book.
Wow.
Nice.
Thank you. It is at the publisher as we speak, the incomparable Theme Park Press, Bear Manor Media, and we are planning a summer release to coincide with the park's 70th anniversary.
That's incredible.
Yeah, because it sort of occurred. We had been kind of talking about it for a little bit to try and turn it into a book. And I had sort of I'd made this statement of like, well, like this is the 70th anniversary. And so it pretty much is the 70th anniversary of everything that we talk about. Like, wouldn't it be great to release it this year?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, yes, absolutely. How quickly can you get it to us? And I, promptly, had a panic attack and was like, can I turn? I mean, luckily 90% of it was there.
Right.
But like,
you've done all the work already, all the research.
Kind of, yeah. But, the book is going to be different. The podcast was released in summer of 2024, so it will have been a year. So there are, just real life changes. Critter Country is now Bayou Country.
Yeah.
But I also went back through every chapter and edited and clarified and expanded, so I can say every single chapter is different.
Nice.
So it's if you really wanted to listen to listen to it, you can, but it is not just a book based on the book on tape.
Sure.
It is actually longer. I clarified a couple of things. I learned more things in the last year. I think you guys at least know of Don Ballard, who did
yes
with the history. So one of the nicest guys ever. He wrote the foreword for my book because I had to pick his brain because the hotel was built.
Yeah.
This year.
Poor Tag was, well, not poor Tag, but Don was on the show, but it was when you were in, it was the summer that you were in Europe. So it was Lynn from the Sweep Spot and I got to have a conversation with Don, and the amount of knowledge that man has about the Disneyland Hotel is
probably forgotten more about Disneyland than he or he's forgotten
more about Disneyland than I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the details on the hotel, just amazing.
Yeah, so there was no way like I was going to get through my Disneyland hotel research without saying, I was like, Don, I have to go to the source, please, double check my work.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable, share any story that I don't have in here. And he was extraordinarily generous.
Oh, that's awesome.
To the point that I said, Don, can I ask you for one more favor? And he was like, oh my God, I would love to.
That's amazing.
Right. Because he's like, we're dealing at the same, in the same time period.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very excited for you guys and your listeners to be the first to know that hopefully this summer for the 70th anniversary, you can get The Year Before Disneyland, the book.
That's amazing.
And we will let our people know when it's out.
And of course, I was going to say, follow the social media channels for Michael if that's something you're interested in, because I'm sure there will be all sorts of updates as to when it's available, how you can get your hands on a copy, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes. Amazing. Well, Michael, I feel like we may just have to have you back on to celebrate when the book officially is out and talk a little bit more. And you can give us a little tease and sneak peek of some of the fun and exciting stories that happened in that year before Disneyland.
It's amazing. And thank you again so much for having me on, even to talk about the podcast. Because it's one thing I didn't give you guys credit for that I'm going to say, because I have now lived it, is you guys are you come across as so conversational in your Disney passion. And now it's been such an honor and a pleasure to experience that firsthand. You guys are just great. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, mark your calendars, Weekly Tiers. Our next meetup is on June 1st. Join us at the Fireplace near the Tongaroa Terrace at the Disneyland Hotel. We'll be hanging out there from 3 to 5 p.m. Disneyland time. Meeting you is one of our favorite parts of our trip, so we would love it if you would stop by and say hello and take a photo, hang out for a little bit, and get something good.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. And then you can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DLWeekly.
Well, welcome back to Trivia Land, folks. I am excited to reveal all the information that we asked about Sleeping Beauty Castle this week. How do you two think you did now that you've had some time to think about it?
All right. I had that last minute of I was stumped and then it just hit me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I feel, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get you these answers now. So, question number 1 this week. What is the height of Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty Castle, and what design technique makes it appear taller? Teresa, very quick on the draw. Designers use forced perspective, making elements smaller as they go higher. The castle stands at 77 feet tall, right in between the two of you.
Dang it.
77. We just got to remember for future.
You know what's crazy? That's almost like dead center between
Star Wars came out in 77, the castle 77.
Sure.
So Star Wars castle.
Yeah, that's how we'll remember it.
Yeah. Or we just assume the two of you should just link minds again.
Yeah.
And you would have
link
been
minds. If we would have met in the middle
on.
tag, we would have been spot on.
Yeah, if only.
If only. All right. Question number 2, though. What is on the Disney family emblem displayed above the castle's archway, and when was it added? Teresa, incredible. It is 3 lions.
Woohoo!
Look at you.
And had you not second-guessed yourself, you'd have full credit because it was 1965.
Oh, jeez. What I tell you, as soon as
this
I
is what
redid
happens.
It. Oh.
This is what happens.
So close.
I'm still impressed that that's where you got with it. So I don't feel like that's a feature we pay attention to often. So when you get that little Disney inkling of lions, definitely lions, and 3 lions, you knew 3. Yeah, good stuff. All right, 3rd question. How many times has the castle's drawbridge been lowered since its opening? No doubt you two knew that one right away. Twice, just like you said, on opening
Boom.
And the rededication. No problem. All right. Final question. What special decoration was added to the castle for Disneyland's 50th anniversary? In particular, I was looking to what they did to the turrets, because, of course, there was a very gold castle. But Tag, you got there. 5 crowns were placed on the turrets, each representing a different decade of Disneyland history. Excellent work through that one to really make that happen.
I think Teresa should get some points too, because
I was thinking about the wrong parts of the castle.
I was also, but here's the thing. I was also thinking about it because I was thinking the tops.
Yeah, I was thinking.
But if you look,
tops.
there's little globy bobble things on each of the things.
Normal? I don't know.
That's not normal.
Wow.
So I think Teresa should at least get half
Look
points.
at this. Oh, this was the concept art that I'm looking at. They had part of it even painted. They didn't actually do it. We have a link in the show notes to the concept art that Mice Chat had shared. But yeah, isn't that interesting that they even potentially were going to paint part of the castle?
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't, because I think in the end it ended up looking
This is what makes me sad. We were talking about this. The 50th, they went all out. They used to do all sorts of castle decor. The last time I think we saw it was the 60th anniversary. And
Well,
with the 70th, hopefully we'll see it for the 75th, but there really wasn't anything for the 100th. It was just kind of bunting, right?
Yep.
And then same thing, that's what's going to be happening for the 70th is just kind of some bunting and different flag colors.
Oh, that's true.
So
I
they
think we'll
used
get
to
something
really,
for the-
hopefully, they used to really dress the castle up. The fact that they made, and these crowns were giant. I was thinking it was like, the tiny,
No, they wrapped the whole
antenna-looking
turret.
things, but they wrapped like the girth of the turret. Like, look at the whatever the tallest one is here.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's got 2 crowns. I just realized.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They did
Crazy.
when they did stuff, they did a really, really great job for the
Even
50th.
like, look at this like stuff that they had adorning like the rooftops.
Yeah.
It used to be so cool.
Yeah.
Just makes you think what
I
are
mean, the
hopes and
60th
dreams for this year, right?
Yeah. Look, the 60th was less than what they did for the 50th, but I mean, that makes sense. So, yeah, fingers, toes, eyes, everything crossed that they go all out and do a lot of decor for the castle itself on the 75th anniversary.
Yes. And after that anniversary, we'll be asking you all about it, I'm sure. But until then, who knows what Trivia Land is going to have? Maybe listeners like you at home have some great ideas for producer Vern and I to use. You can send in all your trivia questions and answers to us by just heading to the website dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal podcast companion. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this episode? My scans indicate you have been a good weekly tier. Have a lollipop. Now excuse me while I let out some air. Goodbye.